The night the city nearly swallowed another forgotten soul began with rain hammering the streets like judgment, and in the middle of the chaos a frail homeless girl named Lily Carter ran barefoot through traffic, her torn jacket clinging to her thin body as she screamed for help when she saw an old man collapse near a biker bar's parking lot, his body hitting the wet asphalt so hard that even the roaring motorcycles went silent for a heartbeat. And before anyone else reacted, Lily dropped to her knees beside him, pressing her shaking hands to his chest, fighting panic she knew too well, because hunger, cold, and abandonment had taught her how fast life could slip away. And before this story pulls you any deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity still existing in this harsh world, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across borders. And as the rain soaked her hair and bruised knees, Lily refused to stop helping, ignoring the shouts around her, ignoring the pain in her own dizzy body, focusing only on keeping the old man breathing as people finally called for an ambulance. And when it arrived, flashing red and blue lights cutting through the storm, Lily tried to stand but her legs gave out. Her vision narrowing as years of malnutrition and exhaustion caught up to her, and she collapsed beside the stretcher just as paramedics rushed the old man inside, leaving her lying there unnoticed until one of the bikers, a tall, broad-shouldered man named Marcus Hale with a leather jacket soaked dark from rain, realized she wasn't moving, and as he knelt beside her he saw how young she really was, no more than 18, her face pale, lips cracked, eyes half closed. And when the paramedics checked her pulse and began helping her too, something small slipped from her jacket pocket and landed in a shallow puddle, soaking but not hiding what it was. A worn photograph folded so many times it was soft as cloth, and Marcus picked it up without thinking, his breath catching when he saw the image of a smiling little girl holding hands with a woman and a man in a military uniform, and written on the back in faded ink were the words to Lily, "No matter where life takes you, you are loved, Dad." And as they rushed her into the ambulance as well, Marcus followed without knowing why, his heart pounding harder than any engine he had ever revved, because the old man she had saved was his father, Thomas Hale, a retired mechanic who had raised Marcus alone after his mother died. And in the hospital hallway under harsh white lights, Marcus learned that if Lily had been even a minute later, his father would not have survived, while Lily lay unconscious in another room, her body shutting down from hunger, dehydration, and untreated illness. And as hours passed, Marcus sat there staring at that photograph, wondering how a girl who had clearly once been loved ended up sleeping under bridges and scavenging for food. And memories of his own rough childhood crept in, nights when money was short and anger was long, and how easily life could have pushed him the wrong way if not for one or two people who cared. And when Lily finally woke, weak and confused, doctors explaining she needed rest and proper care, Marcus watched from the doorway, noticing how she flinched at sudden movements, how she tried to thank everyone even while barely able to sit up. And over the next few days, pieces of her story came together, not through dramatic confessions but through quiet observations, the way she cried softly when given warm food, the way she stared out the window like someone afraid the world would forget her again. And eventually a nurse mentioned Lily had been in the foster system after her parents died in an accident when she was a child, bounced between homes, then aged out with nothing, losing her last shelter spot after getting sick and missing work, spiraling until the streets claimed her. And Marcus felt a knot tighten in his chest because the photo proved she had once had a father who loved her deeply, and that realization hit harder than any punch, because it exposed how society fails people quietly, without headlines or sirens. And when Thomas Hale woke up and learned who had saved his life, tears rolled down his weathered face, insisting on meeting Lily despite his weakness. And when he did, something shifted in that sterile hospital room, not through grand speeches but through shared silence, two souls who had both known loss and survival. And as days turned into a week, Marcus couldn't walk away, arranging clothes for her, finding social workers, making calls. And Lily, still fragile, struggled with trust, flinching at kindness because life had taught her it always came with a price. Yet slowly, cautiously, she allowed help, and the moment she was discharged, Marcus made a decision that would change all their lives, offering her a place to stay temporarily. Nothing fancy, just a warm room above the garage where his bike shop was. And though fear shook her voice, Lily agreed, because for the first time in years someone looked at her like she mattered, and the transition wasn't easy. Nights filled with nightmares, days haunted by insecurity, but Marcus and his father remained patient, showing consistency instead of promises, and Lily began helping at the shop, learning small tasks, her hands regaining strength, her eyes slowly losing that constant fear. And one evening, while cleaning, the photograph slipped from her pocket again, and Marcus gently returned it to her, watching her clutch it like a lifeline, realizing that what fell from her pocket that night hadn't just exposed her past, it had exposed the truth that broken people often carry the deepest love inside them. And months later, Lily stood taller, healthier, enrolled in classes, laughter slowly returning to her voice, while Thomas regained strength, always calling her his guardian angel. And as this story nears its end, if this journey of pain, kindness, and second chances has touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because your engagement helps stories like Lily's reach others who might need hope today. And before the final moment fades, comment below and tell us whether you believe one small act of kindness can truly change a life, because sometimes it takes a collapsing stranger in the rain to remind us that humanity is still alive, still breathing, and still worth saving.